Okay, I've done several blogs on mapping the markets with simple swings, basically finding our major swing, projecting the reaction leg of that swing, and following a market that way. This lesson I want to take that and add lines to the mix, median lines. We're going to talk a little bit about Andrews median lines in this lesson. There's a beauty to taking a market and seeing it in waves and swings, and there's a beauty to the Andrews median lines. That's what they do. They describe and project swings, and from that we can begin to form a way to trade, not a setup, but form a way to trade. So for instance, in this situation, just like this, we can see we have an option. We can look at this market and say, all right, we want to sell this wave to make new lows somewhere along the way, here, here, here. But we can say, all right, very simply, it's making new lows. We want to sell this wave. Or we can say, for whatever reason, we want to buy this for a turn. Well, we don't know which, but when you add median lines into the mix, we can begin to see what median lines do. So for instance, if we come here, this is what a median line does. It takes, I'm going to label these A, B, and C pivots. So we'll call this the A pivot, the B pivot, and the C pivot. A, B, C. So what a median line does, takes the A to B pivot, and projects it from C. So it takes the length of this A to B and then projects it from C. That's what a median line does. No matter how you draw the median line, that's what it's going to do. Now, if it's in the case of a pullback, it's going to project the reaction leg. If it's in the place of continuation, same thing. This now turns A, B, C, and it's going to do the same thing. It's going to project A to B. So in this case, it's going to project the impulse leg. So in our previous lessons, we were projecting reaction legs, but this is what median lines do, one way or the other. And we'll do some more lessons on median lines. So that's the beginning of what I want to talk about here. And so when we see a market and we have the ability to map, we can say and understand what swings we're going to draw and measure from. So median lines aren't some channel tool that we look to just bounce off the ends of this thing. Again, we can sell the swing for a continuation, or we can consider buying it for a turn. And we'll consider some of the things that might tell us. We never know for sure. And so when I look at this market, I can draw now very precisely. And when I draw, I am going to draw swing to swing. I'm going to look at every trade in terms of seeing swings. What is this swing doing? Where can I catch this continuation of the swing? Or is the swing reversing? I'm seeing swing to swing. So right off the bat, I'm looking at price coming up towards here, and it's the same thing as taking this A to B pivot and projecting it from C. So this is my A pivot, this is my B pivot, this is my C pivot. And so what I'm trying to do in a trade is decide, do I want to sell it, or do I want to buy it for a turn someplace? If I'm going to sell it, I'm going to, again, I'm going to draw this swing, and then I'm going to draw the next swing, just like I did over here. And so that's going to tell me about where the swing cycle completes, both going up and going down. So then I'll draw swing to swing. I'm not going to carry this one anymore. It's done its job. It projected the rhythm of that swing. And you can see this one is projecting A to B. This one's projecting the impulse wave. It doesn't always have to be perfect. The only difference in what I'm drawing with just a single measured move line and using median lines add a component of time to the mix. So the only thing I'm doing now is adding to the mix what we've been doing with swings all along, to map and project. And so when this median line has met its cycle, I don't continue to use it as a channel. Although it might work as a channel, then I'll watch that. But I'm looking now swing to swing. So I did this swing, so now I'm going to be looking at the possibility of this swing making a cycle somewhere along the median line set. And I have a decision to make here. I can either try to sell this swing to continue the cycle down, because if you look, facts are facts, Jack. We're making lower lows and lower highs. It doesn't mean it won't turn. But if I do want to play for a turn, I'm going to be not jumping on it here. I'm going to let it pull back and play for a turn this way. So when I'm looking at this market, I have a very simple decision. Sell it or buy it for a turn. And again, we can look at price to help us with these decisions. So these lines, they have a beauty in Andrews median lines. They're not a channel tool. They're projecting. We can also use various structures to help us with this. So for instance, this is one we teach. You got a press structure. Press, 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 expand. And so this helps us see horizontally where that rhythm might stop also. And then you can decide, do you want to be in on this with your stop? Do you want to maybe let it turn and give you maybe some sort of price action entry? But the decision is easy. You come in here. What's the rhythm? That's the rhythm. That's the current rhythm of this market. And if I think that this gap is signaling a turn, well, I'm going to try and play long in here to signal a turn. We don't know which. Sometimes a gap like this is going to signal a turn. But just being able to map, I can tell you one thing. The market is doing this very rhythmically. They're hitting it at a certain level. They are showing a continued behavior. And so I can choose to fight that or not. You know, it looks like a very interesting gap. I know I was very interested in playing a reversal here. But again, I have to look and say facts are facts. And don't be afraid of being wrong. Take your shot, be wrong. That's what stops are for. And again, now we're swinging. So this guy is finished. Now, sometimes these guys make a good place on the backside for a trade. But we're going to keep this simple, just swing to swing. So now we're measuring, and we'll take this market out live. So now you're measuring this A to B and projecting it from C. So with this upward median line, measuring the reaction leg. With this one, we're actually measuring the impulse leg. And so this takes a lot of the crazy out of the market. And so we're just following swings, and the lines are describing those cycles. And whenever it turns up again, we're projecting these swings. And I'm not looking at this to make a channel. I'm actually looking at the next swing cycle. Swing to swing to swing. And that brings it to current. So it's a little bit what the lines are doing. See, they add 3 lines in here, and it makes it a little confusing. But actually, the only thing we're doing, right, we're taking this leg. We're just mapping the swings. Boom, 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 boom. That's what the market's doing. It's doing it in a very continued behavior. We can start to investigate impulse legs too. So if we notice, we have an impulse leg. Impulse leg, they're about the same. Impulse leg, oh, this one looks like it's working on doubling. And this is what median lines begin to show you. Impulse leg doubling. Same thing for the reaction leg. Reaction leg, if the reaction leg were to double, it would come out to here. But this keeps it as a nice simple way to start. Now, whenever we're trading, for instance, let's look at the yen. So whenever we're trading, for instance, we come in here and we're just going to experience this thing, swing from swing. This is this week's yen, and we watch and we map and we say this is what it's doing. This is a swing cycle that completes here. The swing cycle completes here. I'm either going to want to take a trade in this neighborhood, see, A to B, project from C, or I'm going to look for that swing cycle to cycle up. It's that simple. Do I want to trade here or not? And the median line is describing that cycle over time. And so now price is starting a new cycle like this. And then once it starts doing a new cycle, you know, we can make decisions about this. Like, we've learned a little bit about gaps. So for instance, there's a gap, there's a gap. We call this a gap swap, meaning, well, guess what? Something changed. The buyers were going up. And so we can think about capturing maybe an entry on the way to capturing that cycle. But right here, the choice is simple. I'm either going to try to capture this cycle down, or go against the flow and try to capture a new cycle up. We don't know which is which. We don't know which one will work. That's not the point. We're watching cycles, so our decision becomes rather easy. So you can see how that works. It has nothing to do with hitting this line and holding this line or magic channels. And if we do understand something about minor and major swings, if you watch the mapping lesson, you'll see this is an LSB. And we can ask ourselves, all right, if we're not on here or here, do we want to continue to be on this leg somewhere? And where might we do that? Since the leg's got, we can use this one. And again, we won't know for sure if this next cycle is going to be a major or minor. We won't know for sure. We can project. See, the major projects it here, the minor projects it here. You just don't know. For my particular trading in here, I'll probably look at this press structure. Now we're looking at something horizontal. And I'll come in here and say, well, if I entered here, I can get enough of a stop above the major cycle and this cycle. But I'm participating in that. And I'm participating for that. Okay, so you can see even from here just to here is a 3-to-1 trade. It's not necessarily how well the lines bounce back and forth. So I want to keep emphasizing seeing in swings. We'll do one more here. When I come in and I looked at this yen and it looks a little wacky, I came in and I mapped it. I look at it, so I want you to see that we have a swing up. The market's going up. What is this market trying to do? It's trying to very simply do that. So I can make a choice. Do I want to very simply try to participate in that run, or do I want to try and do something on the turn? And a median line is going to show me one way or the other. So for instance, if I use the modified shift on this one, it will be projecting A to B from C, right about there. Now, if I come in here like this, see what this market is doing. This market has just made this wave. It just pulled back. And so this swing is trying to go up. It's logical to want to maybe try a long trade along all of these buyers. Which would be stopped. Now, see what the market just did. It said, no, we are not going to do that. Right? We're not going to go up. Instead, this swing terminated here and started here. So now we're working this swing. I'm just drawing swing to swing where these guys are starting one way or the other. Swing tried, and again, the job of this median line is to take the A to B and project it from C. Two minors, right? It only made the minor equals a major though, but it turned at the minor. We didn't know that, but once it started to make new lows, I have a new swing down. And from here I can see what was floating. From here I can see basically we're in this position. The market's making higher highs, higher lows. It comes up here, starts to float, and then changes its mind. So now I have a new swing pointing down, and the median lines are going to help me with that. One median line was going up like this. That's the black one. And then once it cracked, it's showing me, so now I'm looking at that wave. And again, with swings, I can come in here and look and see the rhythms, right? I can see the rhythms. Now I have a minor swing in here. And this is a trade I had worked with a student. So, oh, now we know which way it's going. It's that simple. A little bit of structure work, place to put a stop, and that's current. So now it's following that leg, no matter how crazy the thing works. Now, we can always represent this with even one line. This swing was trying to make it up, and it didn't. Now it's working its way down. All right, so let's wrap that lesson up there. Appreciate your attention. I tried to keep this simple, just seeing in waves and seeing what the median lines do. Now when we add median lines there, they add a whole new dynamic. Now we're talking 3 different lines, but this is no different than us coming in here and going like this. Same kind of thing. They add a dimension of time to it, the slope in time. but we want to treat these tools as tools so we can use them. Then we can draw precisely from this minor to catch the major swing. So a trade like this is the minor using a minor to get in to capture the major, unless of course you were savvy enough to see the turns earlier. Alright, so that's it, and we'll do some more on the different kinds of median lines later on. But I just wanted to do a little piece in swing to swing, swing to swing, swing to swing, and what median lines do.